سنته واهتدى بهدي ليوم الدين وبعد. Continuing on in the book of major sins, كتاب الكبائر, باب ذكر تمني المعصية والحرص عليها. The chapter of intending or hoping for a sin and striving to attain and acquire that sin, striving to perform that sin. The author here brings two hadith, but these two narrations give us a very complete understanding of the concept of the niyyah and the intention in Islam. The first hadith is a hadith recorded by Al-Bukhari wa Muslim عن أبي بكرة رضي الله عنه قال أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا التقى المسلمان بسيفيهما فالقاتل والمقتول في النار. The Prophet Muhammad said, if the two Muslims meet each other with their swords in a fight, then the killer and the one killed will both be in the hellfire. قالوا يا رسول الله هذا القاتل فما بال المقتول. So the Sahaba, when they heard that, they said, Ya Rasulullah, we understand the killer, but what's wrong with the one being killed? What is wrong? What did he do, the one being killed, to end up in the hellfire? So the Prophet Muhammad said, قال إنه كان حريصا على قتل صاحبه. He said he was anxious and striving and trying to kill his friend. So this is one hadith that we have here before we get into the explanation. The second hadith that we have is عن أبي كبشة قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل هذه الأمة كمثل أربعة رجال. The example of my ummah, the Prophet Muhammad is saying, the example of my ummah is like the example of four men. And this is a very powerful hadith here. The example of my entire ummah is like the example of four men. رجل آتاه الله مالا وعلما فهو يعمل في ماله وبعلمه. The first man is someone that Allah Azza wa Jal blessed with money and with knowledge. A man that Allah blessed with money and with knowledge, and this man spends his money for the sake of Allah and acts according to his knowledge for the sake of Allah. This is the example, the first example given of some people in this ummah. That Allah Azza wa Jal gives them and they use anything they're given for the sake of Allah. Number two, وَرَجُلٌ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ عِلْمًا وَلَمْ يُؤْتِهِ مَالًا. Someone that Allah Azza wa Jal gave knowledge to and He didn't give any wealth to, any money to. فَقَالَ لَوْ كَانَ لِي مَالٌ مِثْلَ مَالِ فُلَانٍ لَعَمِلْتُ فِيهِ مِثْلَ عَمَلِهِ. So this person who was given knowledge with no money, he says, if only I was given money like so and so, I would have acted and spent the money just like he spent the money. This is number two. So about this individual here, the Prophet Muhammad said, فَهُمَا فِي الْأَجْرِ سَوَاء. They are equal in good deeds. They are equal in reward. The third person, وَرَجُلٌ آتَاهُ اللَّهُ مَالًا وَلَمْ يُؤْتِهِ عِلْمًا. A person that Allah Azza wa Jalla gave money to, but gave no knowledge to whatsoever. So what's the result of that? فَهُوَ يَتَخَبَّطُ فِي مَالِهِ لَا يَدْرِ مَا لَهُ مِمَّا عَلَيْهِ. So he squanders his money, spending it left and right, with no idea what he owes people and what's owed to him. So he's spending that money carelessly, with no knowledge of how to spend it, where to spend it, what to spend it on. That was the third example. And the fourth example, وَرَجُلٌ لَمْ يُؤْتِهِ اللَّهُ مَالًا وَلَا عِلْمًا. A person that Allah Azza wa Jalla gave no money to and gave no knowledge to whatsoever. So what does he say? Broke and with no knowledge. He says, فَقَالَ لَوْ كَانَ لِي مِثْلُ مَالِ فُلَانٍ. If only I had money like that third guy. That third guy who was spending it left and right carelessly. If only I had money like that guy, لَعَمِلْتُ فِيهِ مِثْلَ مَا عَمِلَ فِيهِ. I would have acted with my money the same way that he acted with his money. So what's the result of this person here? فَهُمَا فِي الْوِزْرِ سَوَاء. They are equal in terms of the bad deed. They are equal in terms of the bad deed. Okay, so now, these are the two hadith here that the author brings under this chapter. The chapter of someone striving to do a bad deed. Someone striving and desiring a ma'asiyah. So how do we understand this now? We have so many narrations. We were under the impression that if we intend to do a bad and we don't do it, we get rewarded for it. We get rewarded for it. The Prophet Muhammad said that when someone intends to do a bad deed and doesn't do it, he gets a hasana for it, one good deed. And when he intends to do a good deed and he does it, he gets 10, up to 700 good deeds. So we have some narrations telling us that when you intend to do a bad deed and you don't do that bad deed, you actually get rewarded for it. The Prophet Muhammad said in other narrations, Allah Azza wa Jal tajawaza an ummati. Allah Azza wa Jal has forgiven from my ummah that which ma tahaddathat bihi anfusaha, that which they speak to their own self. The whisperings and the thoughts of the self have been forgiven, ma lam ya'mal bihi aw yatakallam, as long as the person doesn't act upon it or speak upon it, that we're forgiven. So we have some narrations here telling us that we're not held accountable. If you have a bad intention and you don't do it, you're not held accountable, rather you get rewarded for it. And we have some narrations here that are telling us that even if you have a bad intention and you don't act upon it, that you're going to be punished. That third individual, that fourth individual wished he can have money to spend it like that third person carelessly. And the Prophet Muhammad said about them, they are equal in terms of sin. So how do we understand this? How can we combine between all of the proofs? How do we understand it? What's the difference here between the narrations that are speaking about the ones who have bad intentions and don't act, and the ones who are speaking or have evil thoughts inside but don't talk about them and don't act upon them, that they're getting rewarded? And these narrations here, how do we understand them? How can we combine between them? Any ideas? How do we reconcile between these proofs that appear to be contradicting? So we say, the scholars say that here, the ones that have the intention, the bad intention, and are not acting upon them, why are they not acting upon them? Why not? Because of their taqwa, because of their fear of Allah. And the narrations mention this. Min ajli. Whoever doesn't act upon it for my sake, because of his fear of me, then he's getting the reward. He gets the hasanah. Allah Azza wa Jal has forgiven the ummah for those thoughts as long as we don't act upon them for the sake of Allah. Something stopped us. We were about to do it. We're about to commit the sin. We're about to look at the haram. And we decide, we make the decision, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stop myself. This is haram. I have to stop. Now this person, he didn't do the sin. He's getting rewarded for fighting himself. Now these narrations that we have here, what's the difference? Al-qatilu wal-maqtulu fi an-nar. The killer and the one killed is in the fire. Why? Because the killer is in the fire. The one killed, why is he in the fire? Kana yanwi. So he was intending the qatl, but not only intending, this was a azima, that his heart was fully determined. So it turned to action. The intention turned to azima, inaqad al-qalbu. The heart has fully intended and carried out the action. Now whether you accomplish it or not, you get the sin. Whether you accomplish it or not. Now this person who was speaking and saying, if only I had so and so, this person's heart was fully convinced and determined that if I had the wealth like so and so, I too would spend it in haram. Left and right. I too would do that. So they're all in the fire. So the one who has the intention to do bad and tries to do it and cannot accomplish his task gets the punishment as if he did it. Meaning in our day and time, someone goes to kill somebody, pulls the trigger, but the bullet is jammed. He doesn't say, oh, alhamdulillah, I get a good deed now because I didn't do it. No, this person is trying to kill. And the only thing that stopped him was something out of his control, not his own fear of Allah, not his own intention. Someone who intends to go look at haram, and they begin and someone else walks in. They're on a website, they're looking at something illicit online. Someone else walks in the room, they shut down the screen. Do they get the reward here, or are they getting the bad deed? They get the bad deed. Because they had the full intention and the azima and the drive to look, but something stopped them other than the fear of Allah. So here, this brings about another concept of the intention. We are rewarded based on our intention. The ahadith about the intention are huge, virtuous, very important ahadith in Islam. The scholars say there's nothing more beneficial and more important than the ahadith about the intentions. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. You will be rewarded based on your intentions. The intentions that you have are either good and you're rewarded for the intention, and you're rewarded for the action that you do based on the good intention. Or the intention that you have is bad, but you stop yourself due to the fear of Allah, and you don't carry out that bad intention and you're rewarded. Or the intention that you have is bad, and you try to carry out that bad intention and you're held accountable for trying and attempting to carry out that bad intention. Or you attempt and you accomplish it, and that's even a greater sin. So this reminds us to be very, very careful with our intention. We can turn the intention very easily into something that we acquire good from and good deeds from. And we could turn the adat to ibadat, the daily actions, into acts of worship with a simple fine-tuning of the intention. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to purify our intention and to make us from the ones that stay far away from having evil intentions and striving towards evil intentions. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.